Hello and welcome. For the first time since 1996, the nation that John Kerry affectionately refers to as Washington's oldest ally is being rewarded with full honors. No matter that the White House had to rip up and re-engrave the invitation cards when François Hollande's relationship status got an unexpected update, the French president is getting the full red carpet treatment. We look at the timing of a trip that comes as France has shown its full, I guess you would call them Atlantist credentials on Iran, Syria, and in Africa, where French boots are on the ground getting U.S. support. Gone are the days of freedom fries and French bashing over Paris's refusal to follow the foray into Iraq, but issues do remain, most notably over what's seen here as the U.S.'s cavalier attitude to e-commerce and eavesdropping. How frank will the discussions be on that matter? We'll ask our panel. Today in the France 24 debate, Monsieur Hollande goes to Washington. And with us to talk about it, Christopher Dickey of the Daily Beast. How are you, sir?
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure as well. Always a pleasure to welcome former Clinton administration official Leah, PISAR, political scientist.
Oh.
Who, I guess you could say like me, confused New Yorker in Paris.
Confused and delighted that these two gentlemen are getting together.
That's right. Fabrice EPELBOIN teaches information warfare. It's among the things you teach at the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening.
And I guess we could call you an e-business consultant, right?
Not exactly e-business, but prospective consultants, yes.
Prospective consultant. Pierre Mawas, be interesting to talk a little bit in our second half about, this is really the issue that's the sticking point, I guess you could say, of this trip, which is information technology, how the Americans see it, how the French see it. And it's one of the big topics we'll bring up. The France 24 debate, where you can join the conversation on Facebook and on Twitter, our hashtag F24debate. Now, there's a visit to the Virginia home of a former U.S. ambassador to France on the menu. His name was Thomas Jefferson. A Wednesday meeting with high-tech gurus in Washington. But the highlight of François Hollande's visit will come Tuesday at the White House. A full state dinner. And yes, protocol had to scramble after Hollande's recent breakup with Valérie Trierweiler. Earlier speculation that actress Julie Gaillet would accompany the French president was quickly snuffed. So he will be a single man. These state dinners, Barack Obama has not held many of them, contrary to his predecessors. I believe it's only the seventh one.
Mm-hmm. He has not held many, so which underlines the importance of this one. And they're really doing a big one. They are putting up a tent, and so that they can host lots of people. And it's the sign of a really official state visit.
The last time a French president was welcomed at the White House for a state dinner, it was 1996. The reports we're getting in the press was that Hillary Clinton was then the first lady, and she worried about the menu because the French, she thought, might be
good reason. What do you serve a Frenchman? What wine do you serve? What food do you serve? When Mrs. Clinton was there, fortunately, the pastry chef was French, so she knew she had some inside support. I don't know who the pastry chef is now, but I'm sure it will be a very good dinner. And probably an organic dinner with vegetables from Mrs. Obama's garden.
State dinners, what's your memory of them?
They're very big deals, and everyone fights like hell to get invited.
And then when you're there?
You just watch it, take it all in, and
But does anything happen, or is it just so, does it all go so fast that you don't really get a chance to...
It probably goes fast for the ones who are at the center of it, but for everyone watching, you just want to take in every piece of it. Who's there, what they're doing, what they're saying, what the entertainment is, which is always a major part of it. And again, what the menu is. This is a major, major question.
Christopher Dickey, obviously the menu will be overshadowed by, again, the French president's relationship status this time.
I don't think anybody will be so crass as to bring that up. It will look a little strange, and he's kind of left Michelle Obama with nothing to do. I mean, usually the wife of the president, the first lady, she has a lot of things that she wants to do over the course of a state visit or any major visit with the spouse of the visiting dignitary. In fact, there was a problem at one point when Hollande was in Washington another time for another visit. It wasn't a state visit, where actually Valérie Trierweiler insisted on wearing high heels very high heels to visit Michelle Obama's organic garden, and had a lot of trouble sinking into the dirt while she was there. So there are a lot of crazy things that go on, but I don't think too much policy gets made at these things.
Not too much policy. We've got a comment from a viewer, and I'll ask you about this, Fabrice. He says, Hunter says, I cannot imagine two politicians better suited to each other. Do you think that François Hollande and Barack Obama are a good match?
Seen from French, it seems kind of an odd match, to be honest. We'll see. We'll see what comes out of this dinner. But François Hollande, first of all, is not extremely popular. On the contrary, Barack Obama seems to be quite popular, even though he isn't as popular as he used to be. But I'm not sure they're a great match. We'll see what happens.
Are they? There isn't like some special chemistry between them so far, is there, Leah?
There is, between them and between the teams. Go figure. But they really, there seems to be some kind of an electricity going on, and these two teams and these two presidents feel close and like they're really on the same wavelength.
Why is there this chemistry?
It happened in the beginning, right after Hollande was elected. Obama dispatched some of his closest advisors to go meet with the Hollande team in formation, and something happened there. The guys just got along and found that there's a lot of common ground on substantive issues, which we are seeing and which we will see this week, and it's gone well, and it's gone increasingly well as Paris has supported Washington on a number of very significant foreign policy issues.
All right, we have someone who agrees with you. Sabria says, Hollande visit reflects stronger U.S.-French ties despite the spy row. We'll talk about the NSA in a moment. There's also a language issue, which I suppose we should bring up. When François Hollande took the personal initiative back in November of 2012 to write to Obama, he took the unfortunate initiative to literally translate the French greeting amitié, and it came out as friendly. And the French press, of course, had a field day on that. Language sometimes can be an issue at these things. What do you think, Pierre Marois? Should we be hearing the French president speaking more in English?
I think they can speak English. The problem is that if you refer to the letter you just said, the fact is that more extensively, French doesn't want to speak English, and they're too proud. This is the image we have about French people. But the fact is that a lot of them speak quite well English, and they do communicate and do business in English right now. If you take, as we said with Fabrice, in San Francisco, I mean, the main community is the French one. So we're doing business and we talk French.
When you're speaking with...
and we try to talk French, and we talk English, by the way, because we don't have any choice now.
Christopher Dickey, the French relationship to the English language, has it evolved in the time you've been here?
Oh, I think it's evolved a lot over the years. I mean, it used to be there was a real hostility to speaking English in France. Now I think almost anybody under 40 is going to have some passing command of English. And while they generally still are intimidated by their elementary schooling here and hate to make any mistakes and hate to make any errors of any kind, in fact, the level of fluency in English is very high here in France.
Even when they sign friendly at the bottom of that.
Well, he's older than 40, the president. I mean, he doesn't fit into that group I was just talking about.
And that's not such a bad thing to sign.
No.
It just was a mistranslation, but it's a friendly thing to say.
But if you note, it's more the French journalist that pointed the mistake,
right,
than the English or American ones.
Right. Ahead, there will be... Christopher says there won't be much substantive policy made at the dinner, but they have, ahead of the visit, penned together an open letter, François Hollande and Barack Obama. It was published both in the Washington Post and here in Paris in Le Monde. One of the points in there is they say, perhaps nowhere is our new partnership on more vivid display than in Africa. In Mali, French and African Union forces with U.S. logistical and information support have pushed back al-Qaeda-linked insurgents, allowing the people of Mali to pursue a democratic future. That letter goes on to add that right now the French have boots on the ground in the Central African Republic with U.S. Logistical support. Maybe that's where the good fit comes in, whereas the French are sending troops somewhere where the Americans don't want to.
That is in very great part where the good fit comes in, because this is the fight against terrorism. And this is where Barack Obama knows that America has to do it with allies. So yeah, they're grateful to France for providing this kind of support. And 11 years ago, this very month, practically to the day, we were in the throes of the Freedom Prize crisis. That has changed, and that era is over. So now we are in a world where America is grateful to have allies that will go do things on the ground in this common fight against terrorism.
Fabrice Belpoint, are you surprised that François Hollande has essentially continued the policies of his conservative predecessor, even though he's a socialist?
Unfortunately, not at all. No. I was kind of expecting this, since I mostly view politics on the digital point of view. And on the digital point of view, we enjoy a healthy relationship, basically because Africa, at least the West Coast and the Northern Africa, is connected to the rest of the world using French infrastructures owned by French companies, companies who are controlled by the French state. So basically, to spy on this part of the world, you definitely need to be friend with the French people.
And the Americans have put a drone base in Niger now.
Yeah, because we don't have any drones. That's a major problem for the French.
And in Djibouti as well. Are you surprised, Christopher Dickey, to see that François Hollande is talking just as tough as Nicolas Sarkozy on Iran, Syria, and sending troops abroad?
No, I'm not surprised that he's talking as tough, but I think that there's a lot of problems in this relationship that maybe we're not touching on. For instance, back last September, during the whole flap about the chemical weapons in Syria, Obama got Hollande to say he would join him. The British dropped out. They said, oh, no, we can't go into Syria. We can't do this. Hollande says, yeah, well, I'll go. I'll do it. And then Obama changed his course on him, doesn't tell him, reverses course completely, and leaves Hollande looking like an idiot out there. So I can't think that that sat too well with Hollande. In North Africa, in Mali, and to some extent in Central African Republic, France is pursuing its own national interests, and the U.S. is providing logistical and intelligence support, but it's not involved.
And so let's think back. That all happens at the end of last year. The invitation to come for this state dinner happened end of November. Is it sort of a consolation prize for having pulled the rug out from under Hollande over Syria?
Well, I think that might have had something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe Leah could reflect on that. In fact, I think that there is an appreciation that France is a very important ally. I think that's something that's understood well by any president, usually not by the American public, but by any president. And so I think it probably was felt that there hadn't been a state visit since 1996. It was about time. And if the chemistry was good with Hollande generally, why not?
Leah PISAR?
France can be a very good ally, and it can also be a very great nuisance. So either way, it has a real voice in the Washington corridors.
All right. One comment, you were mentioning the relationship with Britain, and we know that Barack Obama has had kind of a frosty relationship with the UK since he became president in 2009. One comment here: apparently now the UK has adopted de Gaulle and Chirac's U.S. attitude. And so the viewer believing that it's more the UK that's taken a long stance. Although I should say, because this policing Africa doesn't come cheap, the French and the British have been working close together on defense, and Obama doesn't have to arbitrate this time so much between the French and the British. There isn't the discussion of why are you inviting the French instead of the British.
Well, the whole idea is for all of these people to work together. Isn't that what the Atlantic Alliance is about? So, again, all the better.
Of course, you remember 11 years ago. I
remember 11 years ago very well. But no, the idea is for everyone to work together. And you know as well as I do, the U.S. is on its way out of the two longest and most expensive wars in its history. And it cannot go and deploy and put boots on the ground everywhere. And again, I'm repeating myself, it needs its allies, and it needs its allies to work together and to go out there and do things together. And if that's happening, you know, tant mieux.
Fabrice EPELBOIN, you said earlier, unfortunately, regarding this.
Yeah, I think many French people were expecting a change. And basically, the baseline of François Hollande's campaign for presidency was about change. And, well, obviously nothing happened. And there was no change, and everything...
So you regret the fact that he's went into Mali, went into Central African Republic, has been a cheerleader for talking tough to Damascus and Tehran?
Honestly, I mostly regret the fact that François Hollande hasn't changed Nicolas Sarkozy's politics toward the internet and the digital world. This is the place where I'm kind of an expert. When it comes to foreign policy, as an ordinary citizen, I'm not really convinced we should be there, but that my opinion isn't that important. When it comes to freedom on the internet and global surveillance, François Hollande has done exactly the same thing as Nicolas Sarkozy and has pushed even further global surveillance. And France has become one of the global leaders in global surveillance.
That explains why, for instance, the French have been much more soft-spoken than the Germans, say, when it comes to criticizing the U.S. over the NSA's eavesdropping policy.
Absolutely, because in the very first day of the Snowden scandal, President François Hollande started acting like he was shocked, and then they downplayed everything. And then the German press released some Snowden documents showing that there was some former agreement named Lustre between France and the United States, signed in 2010, about some kind of incorporating France into the Echelon global network. And then we discovered in The Guardian a few months ago that a major internet service provider, French internet service provider, was working closely with the French Secret Service, setting up global surveillance for the French population and for the African population. And we now know that France is one of the global leaders when it comes to internet surveillance, alongside with the United States.
All right, I want to pick up on this point when we come back. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. You're watching the France 24 debate.